Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. This time we're going to be talking about ToeJam and Earl on the Sega Genesis. So let's talk about the story. It's been a little while since I've talked about a video game with a story in it. At least at the time of me recording this, I've talked about a bunch of games that didn't have stories. Anyway, you play as two aliens, ToeJam and Earl. ToeJam is the red alien with 3 legs. Earl's kind of the chubby orange one. At least I think he's orange. Go ahead and put in the comments what color you think Earl is. Anyway, they're traveling through space. They get into some sort of like an asteroid belt or a meteor shower. Their spaceship gets hit by something, and they end up crash landing on a version of Earth. It is a big parody of Earth, but yeah, it's basically Earth. Their spaceship gets broken up into 10 parts, and they have to travel around this version of Earth in order to find all those parts and basically stay alive. It's kind of funny. It's not meant to be taken seriously, and hell, it's a video game from the early 90s. Why would you take it seriously? Our two heroes are from a planet called Funkatron, which will matter a whole lot more in the sequel. It doesn't really matter too much here, but it does kind of inspire the hip-hop music and everything that goes along with this. I think the story's pretty fun. It sets up who these characters are, what they're doing, what their goal is, and even them saying, yeah, this is a crazy planet or the most insane planet in the galaxy. It tells you what you should kind of be expecting. And also just, I just kept thinking about what aliens would view our planet as. So you have a lot of really over-the-top things in here. You have some stuff that's kind of crazy. And then there are the things in this which are kind of more inspired by different like mythology and that sort of thing, like the cupids in here, the little devils. You have the moles in this. You've got bees that are attacking them. It's kind of crazy to think about all that. And then now that I'm overanalyzing the game, thinking about how an alien would view the planet that we're in now, and just sort of imagining, yeah, this might be it, but you never know. It's kind of weird to think about this sort of thing. And yeah, I think the story works really well, now that I've gone off on a weird tangent about stuff. It does a good job of setting everything up and explaining what you're supposed to be doing, and when I was a kid, I never remember caring about it at all. I just remember jumping right into the gameplay. So I'll try not to ramble on as long as I did about the story. The gameplay here is really simple. You just need to avoid enemies and explore the map while you are collecting presents and usually food in order to replenish your health. At the beginning of each level, you will get a hint that says there's a spaceship part on here, or there's a spaceship part in the level, and then you need to find that spaceship part and then find the elevator to move on to the next level. If you don't get that hint, that's a good indication that there is no spaceship part there, so you just need to find the elevator and move on to the next level. It can be a little frustrating when you go through about 4 or 5 levels with no spaceship part on it, but that's just kind of the fun part about all this. There's also a whole bunch of presents on every level. Those are going to be your power-ups. Sometimes your power-ups are not as useful as you want them to be. Like when you open up a present and an enemy drops right in front of you. That's not really what you want. There are other times when you get like the rocket skates, and it's a power-up, but one that kind of screws you over because if you're not controlling it very well, or if you're pointed in the wrong direction when you use it, you can fly off the level and then you drop down to one of the lower ones. And in some cases, you drop down like 2 or 3 of them, and it gets really annoying. Probably my favorite things in this, or at least my favorite power-ups, are the high tops, because you can run when you get them. You do get a few weapons in here. Most of them are all tomato-based, which is kind of fun. You can just throw tomatoes, you can get a slingshot for tomatoes, or you can make it rain tomatoes, which is always awesome. I don't find the weapons as useful as they really could be in here, so yeah, most of what you're going to be doing is just avoiding the enemies as best you can. You will notice some lakes around, and you can jump in those and try to swim and avoid the enemies, but you need to keep an eye on your health because you can drown and lose a life in this. It's a little bit easier in the remake when you do that, and if I ever talk about the remake, I'll talk more about how to avoid the enemies. I mentioned already that you can accidentally unleash enemies with these presents. There's also the randomizer, which can, or will, randomly switch all the names for the presents and everything and put all the presents back under question marks, so you won't know what power-up you're getting when you open up a present. You also get money throughout this, which is kind of awesome. I mean, everybody likes getting money. That can be used in some cases. I usually just skip it for this and just keep wandering around. It's more useful in the remake. I talked about going around and picking up food to replenish your health, but there's also food that will diminish your health as well, and those can be annoying. You also have some presents that will just kill you, and that can be equally annoying. As much as I love the gameplay in this game because it's so simple, there's some bullshit in it that I don't really like when you open a present and it kills you, or when you fall down multiple levels. I think the graphics look pretty good. ToeJam and Earl look great. The enemies are all kind of unique and they look different in various ways. It's just kind of a cool game to look at. The levels, however, can be rather uninteresting because you just kind of have grass, water, and desert, and there isn't a whole lot of variety to it. Now, you do have some of these different, like, invisible platforms that'll appear and make your path a little bit easier to walk on, as you guys just saw. Those are kind of fun, but yeah, it can be a little bit annoying from a visual standpoint when you're wandering around trying to find these things, and it's just really hard to find stuff. That being said, you do get a map in this, which is wonderful because, hey, it tells you where the ship piece is once you find that location, and it can tell you where the elevators are so you can move on. And also, when you do figure out which power-ups or which presents contain something that's awful, you'll be able to recognize those, because once you pick it up in your inventory, you'll see, hey, this is going to kill you, so you can drop it. And then you can do your best to avoid those presents. Basically, the game looks really good, and it helps you play it quite a bit. It's a wonderful looking game, and it honestly looks the most, this is going to sound weird, but it just looks like a Genesis game, and it's really great. I just really love how this thing looks. I played a lot of ToeJam and Earl growing up. This was one of the games that my friend Eric owned, and I think my friend Joey owned it as well. But yeah, we played the hell out of this game whenever we were together. I don't remember playing it with really anyone else until high school when I started collecting games, and this was one that I went out of my way to get. And I think I played it with my friend Alex, but I'm not totally sure on that. I definitely remember playing it quite a bit whenever I would stay over at my friend Eric's house. I don't ever remember renting video games with Eric, but we would definitely play a lot of this. And then we would play Echo the Dolphin, realize that we hate that game, and then go back to playing ToeJam and Earl, because this game was awesome. So yeah, I've got a lot of memories tied up with this one, and also playing with a couple of my friends, or at least people that used to be my friends before they got weird when they got older. But that's a story for something completely different. Anyway, this was always a fun game to just try to see if we could beat it or get as far as we could. I don't ever remember actually beating this game when I was a kid, because I think we would just get to a certain point, get frustrated with it, or we would end up dying because it ramps up in difficulty pretty quick, and the game can get really hard if you're not very good at it, and I don't ever remember being very good at it. But yeah, it was one of those games we played an awful lot and just had a ton of fun laughing at what was going on, especially once you get to like certain enemies like the nerd herd, or you run into the dog in a hamster ball that's chasing after you, or just some of the other bizarre things that you're going to see in this. It really felt like in some ways you were playing a Saturday morning cartoon, where stuff was just really weird, and you were doing your best to just get through it and laugh at what was going on. Oh, I forgot to mention, you get promotions in this, so you start out as a doofus, and randomly you'll get promotions throughout the game. I don't think we ever figured out how that actually worked, whether it was an amount of money that you get, but I think it had something to do with your score and everything like that. And every time you would get promotions, you get a little bit more health and you heal up in some ways, or you might get an extra life. That was always cool to see, and we're just laughing at each other like, oh, you're a Poindexter now, or you're a doofus, or oh wow, I made it to dude. It was pretty fun to play and just see what things the game was going to call you whenever you would advance in a certain level. So yeah, there is some bullshit in this game that keeps it from really being amazing. Like, there's just some stuff that happens in this game where you can kind of throw the controller or freak out or yell at the screen or something like that. Like when you accidentally get the rocket shoes and it sends you down like 4 levels and you have to find your way back up, or some other weird thing. Like maybe your friend decides he's going to spend 4 hours sitting in, 0 level for no goddamn reason, just because he thinks it's fun. And it was fun for about 20 minutes, but then you want to keep going. But aside from that, it's a really great game. I've got a ton of memories of playing it. There are some kind of annoying things with it, like when you go through a whole bunch of levels and you still don't have a ship piece. That can be kind of a pain in the butt. But it is just a fun game to look at. It's a fun game to play. It's really weird, and it was very unique for the time, even though other games have kind of copied it or done it in a similar way. I shouldn't say copy. They've made a similar style of gameplay. I've already mentioned a lot of this other stuff, but I did play a lot of this with my friend Eric, and I got a lot of fond memories of playing with him. Just on different trips up to his family's cabin and just sitting there playing this at night because we couldn't go outside and do anything else anymore. And staying up really late, just trying to get as far as we could before getting tired and passing out. So there is a modern version of this game, ToeJam and Earl, Back in the Groove. And that game is spectacular. I like it a lot more than this one, just because it's a little bit easier to get through, and I like the art style for that game a lot better. But the first one is always fun to return to and just play it every once in a while, because it is a really great game. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap things up. Let me know what you think in the comments section below, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.